اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي.
So a bit introduction of our second speaker, which is Professor Dato Ahmad Kamil Madimira. He is a well-known figure in economic and finance. He is the chairman of Movement for Monetary Justice Malaysia, or MMJ in short, and currently as adjunct professor at International Islamic University Malaysia UIA. He used to be a dean there of the Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance. Professor Ahmad Kamil also is the author of the book titled The Theft of Nation, where he explained how the wealth of nation are stolen under the current monetary system. He is also well known for his call to return back to the gold dinar in order to realize a just and stable economic system. Having that being said, I would like to call upon Professor Ahmad Kamil Madimira for his presentation. Fadal, Prof.
Thank you very much, Brother Helmi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadan Nabil Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. So to everyone attending this webinar, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Welcome to this webinar organized by the World Sufi Council and also the Movement for Monetary Justice of Malaysia. So let me share my slides with you all. So the topic that is kind of related to what Dr. Manaf has presented just now. The riba in fiat money. Is there riba in fiat money? I put a question mark because this is a topic sometimes some people disagree. So, but anyway, let's make it a discussion and a discourse so that you understand what it is. Dr. Manaf has clearly demonstrated to you how the money is created by the commercial banks. Yeah, Dr. was actually himself was a bank manager before, so you know it's like coming from the horse's mouth itself, how the accounting is done. So anyway, what I will go through my presentation. As you can see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this verse, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakumul islam ad-dina. In Surah Al-Ma'idah. So basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, today I have perfected your religion for you and have bestowed upon you full measure of my blessings and will that Islam shall be your religion. So at that time we inherited as Muslims a beautiful religion, complete in everything, including the economic system, muamalat, everything. It's complete. But this verse is apparently not the last verse to be revealed in the Quran. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I've already perfected the religion. Yeah. So what is the last verse? It is mentioned in Sahih al-Bukhari through Ibn Abbas. The last verse to be revealed in the Quran is about riba. And riba has a lot to do with money and monetary systems. And what is that verse? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullah. Wa adharu ma baqiya minar riba in kuntum mu'minin. Fa illam tafalu fa'adhanu bi harbin minallah wa rasulihi. Wa in tubtum falakum ru'usu amwalikum la tadhlimuna wa la tudhlamun. Basically, you will believe, fear Allah. Ittaqullah. And give up what remains of your demand for usury riba if you are indeed believers. If you do not, That means if you still continue it, then take notice of war from Allah and His Messenger. Which were Dr. Manaf also highlighted this verse. That if you continue to take riba and dealing riba, then take notice of war from Allah and His Messenger. And who can win a war with Allah and Messenger? And we have to remember this verse is addressed to the believers. It's not addressed to the non-believers. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. So we need to really be concerned. Why after saying that I've completed the religion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning Muslims as the last verse after 23 years of revealing on myriad issues in the Quran. The last verse is on the issue of riba because of the severity of the issue, which Dr. Manap also covered. And in the hadith from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there will certainly come a time for mankind when everyone will take riba, and if he does not do so, his dust will reach them. So we are now in the last ages, Akhirul Zaman. The way you see what is happening around us, it is very, almost sure that it is the Akhirul Zaman that we are in. So surely the riba is everywhere around, especially after the collapse of the Ottoman Khalifa Uthmaniyah. We see that throughout the world, our monetary systems are all riba based. Even how Islamic country we say, it is riba based. Our monetary system is based on interest. So the topic is, as I was mentioning, is what is the riba in fiat money. And just now, Dato Abdul Manaf has already mentioned that most of the money is created. Let me see the pointer. Yeah, most of the money is created in the form of loans when banks give out loans, commercial banks. So commercial banks actually create money, which is actually, the money here is actually credit. So once the credit is created as money, it is moved around as money in the economy. And that comprises 95% of about money in most economies. Only 5% or less actually is the notes and coins that we use like this. Right? Like this is a 50 ringgit of Malaysian ringgit. Yeah. So this is only about 5% coins. But whatever it is, whether it is like this or accounting numbers created by the commercial banks, these are both actually money created out of nothing. It is just printing. In fact, most of the now money is now electronic already. Electronic, you don't even have printing costs. So these are money created out of nothing. So this is what we call fiat money. These are not backed by gold. I cannot take this 50 ringgit to my central bank and ask for redemption in gold. If it was allowed, it's called gold standard. So gold standard was there until 1971. That's why when you notice that Abdul Manaf's graph just now, until 1971, the money was almost like just a flat curve. After 1971 is an exponential growth. So that is because of, after 1971, there is no more redeemability of paper money for gold. So when there's no more redeemability to paper, gold, we call it fiat money. Now, what we are saying is that fiat money itself is because of the riba. Once it is not redeemable for gold, that itself is riba actually. So all of us, however we are this thing, for Islamic causes, for mahar, even for zakat, for everything we are using this money now, whether this form of paper or we use digital numbers, whether we write checks or whether you use computers or electronic money, these are all fiat money. So this is an example of paper money that was issued in Malaysian history about 100 years ago. See, this says 10,000 ringgit. 10,000 ringgit is equivalent to 10 million ringgit purchasing power of today. So imagine you just print a piece of paper like this, it has 10 million ringgit of purchasing power. You see, it's just out of nothing. Before that, you had no money. The moment you print it, you have 10 million ringgit worth of purchasing power, which you can buy land, you can buy buildings and so on, just using one piece of paper. Of course, nowadays you don't find currency denominations at these large numbers, yeah? But it doesn't matter. Even if it doesn't, when you don't have large numbers like this, electronically they exist. Yeah? Electronically you can create. commercial bank. So this is a simple statistics of Malaysian statistics. How this is we call M1. M1 is the paper currency plus the money created by the commercial banks. We call it M1. Yeah. In 1986, it was 13 billion ringgit, 13 billion. But in year 2020, last year, it is about 513 billion. So almost half a trillion ringgit worth of money. You know, and this is the real GDP. You see, in 1986, the GDP was 71 million. So the total money is smaller in size, 13 million producing 71 million, which means what? Which means the money is circulating, same money circulating again and again in the economy and creating economic activity. But look what has happened in 2020. We have 513 amount money, but the real GDP is only, the nominal GDP here is 350 million only. So money supply is even more than the economy already. You see, because money is paper and nothing and growing exponentially in the form of debt. So you notice from 13 billion, it has become 513 billion within a couple of decades, within about 20, 30 years, yeah. So the annual growth of money in Malaysia is about 11% per annum from 86 to 2020, whereas the economy grew at only about 4.8%. So the difference will show as well. The economy is creating more money and debt compared to the economy itself. So that actually gives a lot of problem in the economy. These are all we have studied. It creates inflation in the economy. Once there's inflation, there'll be a rising cost of living cost. It also creates a wealth gap between the poor and the rich, continuously creating. This is how poverty is created because of the gap. The rich becoming richer, the poor becoming poorer, homes becoming unaffordable, agriculture become unattractive compared to construction or industries and things like that. So the system, because of inflation, rising living costs and so on, it also creates social issues like crime, and then it causes a cycle of inflation rising and downfall and the ups and downs of the economy, constant creation of unemployment. It creates environmental problems, the climate change, pollution, and so forth. It creates a political problems. One of them is loss of sovereignty, and also now a new problem, shrinking population. We can have a separate talk for all of them, but we have no time. Each one of them, we can have a talk how the fiat money system actually creates all these issues. So, you see, this is to show you how it has created the wealth gap. This is a couple of years ago, this data, at least about 5 years ago, this data. 8 billionaires, just 8 billionaires own the same wealth as the poorest 3.6 billion of the people. 3.6 is half of the population of the world. All the assets they own, half the population of the world, these 8 people, they own similar amount of wealth. Can you imagine that? This is made possible because money is fiat. If everybody has to go to work, produce real things, goods and services, you will not be able to see such a disparity in wealth distribution. Now this is, you can notice in the 2008 housing market crash, which Dato also mentioned just now. During the 2008 housing market crash in America that shook almost the whole world, you see a lot of people lost their homes. When their homes were foreclosed, the bank simply threw away all their furniture and everything on the roadside. This is how you will, pick up this thing. So people were practically on the streets. But when people are unable to pay the debt, when it crashed the whole thing, the financial system also crashed. The Wall Street also crashed. So in order to bail out the Wall Street, Paul Hansen and the group Bernanke and all that together, they created the $700 billion bailout package. And they bailed out Wall Street, which means they give money, 700 billion, created out of nothing. Which Dato in the video was mentioning it exactly. It is just simply we create the numbers in computers and they give to the banks. That's all. So you see, the wealth is simply given to one side and they become. So next round will start again. 700 billion is almost $1 trillion of free purchasing power given to the banks. So this is how the present fiat monetary system is designed. Now, is fiat money is riba or not? So if you notice, let's say this is time 0, and let's say this is 1 year, and the interest rate is 10% per annum. Yeah. So let's say someone lends money for 1,000 ringgit for 1 year. So 10% is the interest. So the person will have to pay back 1,100. So very clear, the 100 is riba, right? It is more. That is riba al-fadl. And then there's a time difference, riba and nasya. So it's a perfect riba. It has both the fadl and nasya embedded inside. But the question we always forget to ask is that if we create the money 1,000 out of nothing, like just now, like banks creating the money out of nothing and lending it out, isn't this itself is a riba? Here you wait one year to get the 100. Here you get 1,000 immediate. So if you ask, it is so clear, this is a riba al-fadl. That means there's no counter value. When you create, if you create this 50 ringgit at home, and then you give it to buy something, the person is giving you a real good. You are giving the piece of paper that was just printed. There's no counter value. That is the reason people are not allowed to print this money at home. If you do it, it's called counterfeiting, and people can go to jail for that. But the commercial banks, which are privately owned, they are allowed to do it. Yeah. So this is the issue that we bring forth. But Sharia scholars of today are yet to really give their opinion on fiat money. Everyone is thinking fiat money is given. After fiat money is considered as given, then only they start with all the Sharia contracts. So the contracts are okay, you can sell at profit and so on. But nobody wants to talk about creation of money out of nothing. So creation of money out of nothing is like stealing from the economy, right? Let's say the Islamic bank creates the money, then with the money it buys a car, and then it sells the car for profit. So selling the car at profit for mudarabaha contract, well, it can be, that contract is just profit-based, that we can say it is acceptable. But where you steal the car, you are not questioning, that is the question, yeah? Now, again, in fiat monetary system, when interest is applied, the default, people defaulting on loans is actually by the design of the system. Now, let me show you why it is designed by the system. Let's say someone borrows 10,000 ringgit and the interest rate is 20%. I purposely put a large number here so that the numbers look easy, okay? So let's say the interest is 20%. So in 1 year, the person will have to pay back the loan 12,000 ringgit at the end of the year. But the economy, actually when you create a 10,000 ringgit and then push it in the economy, there's only 10,000 ringgit moving hands between people and creating economic activity. So how can the economy pay back 12,000? Where will the 2,000 extra will come from? The 2,000 does not exist in the form of money. So because it does not, exist in the form of money, the person is sure to default. So you can only pay back the 2,000 in real things, whatever you produce. Maybe if you produce a car, furniture, or you produce rice or something. So you will have to give that as the component for the interest. You see, this is the issue. So if the person got to pay back the loan at the end of the year, principal plus interest, the default will become very clear. The system is defaulting. But in the present system, the default is camouflage. How it is camouflaged? You don't pay back the loan at the end of the period. You're allowed to pay back by installment, monthly basis, and so on. So let's say the 12,000, you're allowed to pay back 1,000 monthly. So in 12 months, you pay back the 12,000. Well, let's assume like that. So when the first month, when you pay 1,000 to the installment to the bank will give the money as the, let's say, salary of the workers, or they can even in here, this thing, right? So they can spend back the 1,000 back into the economy. Let's say you are producing rice. So they can use the 1,000 to buy your rice. So the money will come back to you, but the rice have gone to them. The real rice has gone to them. So the following month, you pay the 1,000 and they spend back the 1,000 into the economy. They buy real things from the economy. So all in all, real things would have transferred to the bank, the bankers, those who work in a bank and so on. The real things from the economy would have transferred, but you would seem as though you have not defaulted on the loan. You have nicely paid back all your loan until the end. So when you pay the loan in installment basis, so the default is camouflage, it's not clear. But the design, the default is by the design of the system. So when there's not enough money, the default comes because the interest portion does not exist in the form of money. There's not enough money to actually pay back the entire loan, principal plus the interest. So that creates competition for money in the economy. That's why the business world of today is always competing among themselves for the sales and money, because there's always not enough money in the system. So famous Sharia scholar, Imran Khan Niazi, in his book, The Concept of Riba and Islamic Banking, nicely he elaborated the concept of riba. Anyone who wants to understand in detail the concept of riba, I will strongly recommend this book. So in this book, he finally concluded, the truth is that if the strict legal position of Islamic law is adopted, all transactions in paper currency, which is fiat money, will become invalid. You see? So if you are strict with the legal Sharia principles, then fiat money is actually invalid. But today we don't have the real money. Everyone is using fiat money. Therefore, on a Darura basis, we will have to use it until we Muslims bring an alternative solution. So among this thing, as I mentioned just now, among the issues or problems created by the fiat money is that it will transfer the wealth, and also it will steal the sovereignty of a nation away, right? That's why the picture that Dato Manap showed, where Michael Candace is putting his arms like this, and Suharto was signing, taking the loan, the nation is actually giving up the sovereignty of the nation. And you will be giving away the wealth of the nation, to pay the interest and principal loan, which they actually create out of nothing, right? So wealth, the protection of wealth is one of the maqasid of Sharia. One of the objectives of Sharia is the protection of wealth. And that in the present Ribawi system, we cannot protect the wealth in our economy under this Riba system. So what happens is that wealth and sovereignty, which are the domains of political economy. Those who study political economy, the domains are control for resources, which is wealth, and having authority. So authority over people and controlling of resources are the domains of political economy. Under fiat money system, these two will go unprotected. So we will not be able to protect the maqasid of Sharia. So once this one maqasid is affected, the other maqasids also will be jeopardized, which is protection of our faith, protection of our life, the intellect, akal, and progeny, our next generation. And also the other definitions, hajiyah and tahsiniyah, the objectives of maqasid of Sharia will not be able to will be affected. So why? Because if you lose the sovereignty of your nation, like many countries that lost their independence, so the colonizers or those who have control of your country, they can come and tell you how even your education system has to be structured. So you cannot, in the intellect of your next generation is lost. And many people, even so, as you can see, when you're unable to protect your wealth, and if the system creates poverty, as I mentioned earlier, there's a hadith saying, poverty can lead to kufr. You see? So kufr is what? Kufr is lack of faith in the religion. So lack of wealth can lead to lack of faith. And these are maqasid al-sharia. See, one maqasid, you lose it, it can affect the other maqasid. You see? So this is the reason why it is important we Muslims take care of the riba in the economy. We cannot be simply using this paper money like it's not nothing, everything is okay, you know? Right. So this is a famous Muslim economist, Umar Chapra. He said, the Muslim countries' problems have become aggravated and they have moved farther and farther from the realization of the maqasid. So despite a rise in gross domestic product, poverty has not declined, rather it has risen. Inequalities of income and wealth have also worsened, and the basic needs of the people remain unsatisfied, and the threat of inflation persists. So you see, so if you ask me why these things are happening still in any, among the major reason is because our monetary system is riba based now. And what about Islamic banks? Is it a solution to all this problem? Unfortunately, just like the Tamana was saying, showed just now, our Islamic banks also part of the present monetary system. They also create money out of nothing, but they give out the money. After that, not most likely not using the riba-based, interest-based transactions contracts, maybe an Islamically acceptable contract. But however, the Islamic banks also create money out of nothing. Therefore, all the problems we talked about, the Islamic banks will also creators of the problem. They're not solution providers. Okay. The other thing is that because Islamic banks and now conventional banks, they operate under the same system, forces, financial forces, market forces will cause them to converge. So there is a principle in finance called arbitrage. So arbitraging between, making profit between difference in markets will cause them to converge and become equal. So recently, former deputy governor of the Central Bank of Malaysia, Mr. Sudev Singh, he wrote an article after being there about 2 decades, I think, in the central bank. He said he observed the development of Islamic bank. Actually, the Islamic banking products, the interest is actually embedded or hidden inside. It is camouflage inside because of the convergence. I've been telling this for two decades also, that ultimately they will be same because of. So this is the problem Islamic banks face under the fiat monetary system. So what are the implications for Muslims then? So the Muslims implications for Muslims about the fiat money is that the maqasid Sharia, which is the objective of our Sharia itself, it cannot be attained. And number 2, the gradual economic and political suppression, we will ultimately lose in the present system, our economy and our political this thing. So that's why in most Muslim countries, you see the leaders are actually not, in many countries, they're not actually doing in the interest of the people. They're actually answering to a higher forces outside the country, And among the, and this is also among the significant reasons for our backwardness in education, economics, and politics. Yeah. Now I'd like to give you an analogy with the hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ. If you remember, when the Muslims were in Mecca, they were actually very weak at the time. They didn't have the domains of political economy. What is the domains of political economy? It is the control over resources of the place and having authority over the people. Because the Quraysh, they were having the authority and the resources, and therefore the Muslims were oppressed. They even had economic, sanctions imposed on the Muslims. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the Prophet ﷺ, the Muslims, to make hijrah to Medina. So what the Ansar of Medina, what did they give to the Prophet ﷺ and the Muhajirun? Right? Basically, they gave the Prophet authority and the resources. So these two are the domains of political economy. You have the authority of us and the resources. So with these two, the Prophet ﷺ was able to protect the life of the Muslims, but they were able to go to battle and so forth, but Battle of Badr, Uhud, and so forth. They were able to establish the faith, the market in Medina, the Islamic education, and protect the progeny. So the Islamic society mushroomed from Medina when they had the power and wealth. But unfortunately, today through Ribawi system in the Muslim nations, we are losing these two, the authority and the resources, and we are now moving back to oppressed Muslims in Mecca. We are going back to the position here. So what is the path to take? What is the solution to this? So we must return back to the real money, which is return back to dinar and dirham or any real money. So returning back to dinar means something like going back to the gold standard of the past, which was until 1971. Yeah, we need to go back to dinar and dirham, but using modern methods. Yeah, and then our contracts must not be interest-based, riba-based. It has to be risk-sharing contracts, contracts that share the risk. But most Islamic contracts are already based on risk-sharing. Yeah. So if we go back to this real money concept, automatically the riba and the money will disappear. The creation of money will disappear. Yeah. And the next thing is our economy should be based on zakat, waqf, and sadaqah. So a lot of work is being done in waqf. Sheikh Karim has mentioned that in the future we'll be talking about the importance of waqf in establishing the Islamic economic system. Yeah. So this is the path which we need to take. And Imam Ghazali has mentioned in here on Numuddin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created gold and silver as measure of value. This is what we want to attain. Yeah. This is what we want to attain, go back. This is a famous doctor, the founder of the American finance house La Riba in America. He mentioned Islamic monetary laws are based entirely on the bimetallic reference point. Bimetallic is the gold and silver, the dinar and dirham. The Sharia laws stipulate that measurements, zakat, mahar, which is marriage dowry, hudud laws, compensation payments, and other forms of trade, all were revealed using gold and silver as the standard. Therefore, it is an Islamic obligation to use gold and silver bimetallic system. So this is what we Muslims have to go back now in this Akhirul Zaman. Okay, let me give me another just about 5 minutes. I'll quickly go. So in this solution, there are 4 types of money that we can actually establish in the economy. One is having physical dinars and dirham. So this is like classical system. They can exist. The real dinar and dirham can exist. Then the second one is where the dinar and dirham will be kept in vault, maybe in a financial institution like an Islamic bank. Then a redeemable instrument is issued against it. It can be a piece of paper, it can be electronic records, electronic money and so on. So there is another way. So that means you can issue electronic money like e-wallet, but it is backed by actual physical gold and silver. So this is the second type of money that you can issue. The third type of money is IOU, is a debt money, but this is the allowed type. What is the allowed debt money? Is that it's where the debt starts from a real transaction. For example, let's say I sell to you some goods. Let's say I sell to you my handphone, but on credit. You say that you'll pay me end of the month 1,000 ringgit. So you give me a IOU. So I take the IOU. You will pay me end of the month, and you are a credible debtor. Okay. I can use this paper, let's say this IOU paper, and buy things from other people. So it can change hands from one person to one person, So at the end of the month, whoever is holding it will go to you and take the money. Okay? So since the IOU started with an actual transaction that involves goods and services, so that IOU can be moved around as money. But if it started with a debt, paper money. If I give you a paper loan and then you give me a piece of paper saying that, okay, I owe you money, we cannot use that as money. We cannot pass that I owe you as money. Why? Because that will create inflation in the system. Okay. Then the fourth one is simply record transaction. When people do buying and selling, we just record the transactions. Okay, who owes one, debit, credit, record the transactions, and then periodically, maybe monthly or every 3 months, we do netting. We cancel the differences of debits and credits, and we just settle the difference. This is what we call mukasa. So mukasa is, in my opinion, is a very powerful method of introducing liquidity into the economy, and we should look into it. Okay, so these 4 methods are allowed in our Sharia, and all of them can coexist at the same time. I would strongly encourage all to coexist at the same time. Okay, so that the system becomes resilient to shocks and so on. So ultimately, this is the path we should strive for, at least in the stages. We must have actual dinar, but we must use modern methods of payment. E-wallet, digital money using handphones, cards and so on must exist. So what we should strive for is gold and silver backed digital money. It is the best form of money for today in order to solve all that I've mentioned, the problems of fiat money that I've mentioned earlier. Okay, so so what is the effect of the entire thing? If you do that, you will create an economy that is adil, a just economy. And because it is backed by real gold and silver, it will become a stable economy with the least volatility. There will be no exchange rate risk. Every country, if they use gold, means the exchange rate becomes a fixed exchange rate. Then the economy becomes a sustainable economy. This is what is the present economic system is not sustainable. Yeah, this is the reason why the United Nations is talking about sustainable development goals nowadays. Yeah. So through this method and plus the Wakaf-based economy, we can transform the economy from a debt economy based on debt, to a gift economy, like what existed in the Ottoman Caliphate and so on. A lot of everything is gift. Even there was gift for even for feeding stray animals, dogs and cats. Okay, so you transform the economy from debt economy to gift economy. And gift economy, it creates peace and releases a lot of time because there's no interest-based income. Therefore, it releases a lot of time for ibadah, social activities, and so on. And a gift economy also guarantees social security for everyone. The Wakaf system is actually a social security for everyone. So this will be the ultimate effect of a system. So Wallahu alam bisawab. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.